Gentlemen, let's be real for a moment. One of the most painful things a man can experience is chasing a woman who has already decided he's not the one, not because she said it directly, but because her actions scream it. Today, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. If a woman is not interested in you, there are 7 things she will absolutely do every single time. Recognizing these signs early will save your time, your dignity, and your emotional peace. If she's always busy, constantly rescheduling, or only reaches out when it's convenient for her, that's a strong indicator that she's not genuinely interested. We live in a world where people make time for what matters to them. It doesn't matter how chaotic life gets. When a woman is into a man, she finds a way to connect, to communicate, and to spend time. It might not always be perfect or consistent, but the effort will be noticeable. A woman who's interested won't repeatedly cancel on you with weak excuses. She won't leave your messages unread for days without explanation. And she definitely won't leave you hanging with vague promises of maybe another time, or I'll let you know. That's not busy, that's passive rejection dressed up in polite language. When someone cares, you feel it. You don't have to overthink or obsess over their schedule. You don't have to analyze every word of a text or wonder if you're bothering them by asking to meet up. It's easy to confuse indifference with genuine busyness, especially when you're emotionally invested. But make no mistake, if a woman is into you, she'll want to see you. She'll make plans in advance. She'll follow up if something comes up. She'll apologize if she has to reschedule and immediately suggest a new time because your presence matters to her. On the other hand, if every conversation ends with "I'm not sure," "let me get back to you," or "I'll see how I feel," she's indirectly telling you that you're not a priority, and you have to believe her actions, not her excuses. Many men get stuck in this trap of constantly waiting for her to be less busy, hoping that if they're just patient enough, she'll come around. But the truth is, people don't need to be chased into loving someone. A woman who is genuinely interested will look for opportunities to spend time with you, not reasons to avoid it. Another clear giveaway is how she behaves when you stop initiating. If you go quiet for a while and she doesn't notice or doesn't care, that's your answer. Women who care will check in. They'll wonder why you're quiet, and they'll reach out to reconnect. If you go silent and she disappears without a trace, it's because your presence wasn't significant in the first place. The harsh reality is that no matter how good your intentions are, no matter how well you treat her or how much potential you see, if she doesn't make an effort to include you in her life, she's simply not that interested. There are no mixed signals in real interest. Her time, her attention, and her consistency are the clearest indicators of where you stand. And if you're constantly left wondering, constantly feeling like you're bothering her just by showing interest, then the answer is right in front of you. She doesn't see you the same way you see her. A woman's communication style reveals far more than most men realize. When a woman is truly interested, her energy is present in every message, every call, every conversation. You'll feel a sense of eagerness, like she genuinely wants to engage with you. She'll ask questions, send thoughtful responses, and look for ways to continue the dialogue. But when she's not interested, her communication becomes flat, delayed, and distant. The difference is night and day, and yet many men overlook these signals because they don't want to accept the truth behind them. Dry communication is a subtle but powerful indicator of disinterest. You'll notice it in how she replies. 1. Word answers, no follow-up questions, 0 curiosity about your life or your thoughts. It's the kind of texting that feels like you're talking to a wall. You send a paragraph and she replies with lol or okay. You try to build a conversation and she leaves it hanging or changes the subject. And worst of all, she never seems to take the lead. She never initiates the chat, never surprises you with a random "how's your day?" or "I was thinking about you." Everything feels one-sided, like you're putting in all the effort just to keep the flame alive while she's barely showing up. And then there's the delay. She reads your message and takes hours, sometimes even days, to respond. When she finally does, there's no explanation, no apology, just a cold message that feels more like a task checked off than a moment shared. You tell yourself maybe she's just busy, maybe she's overwhelmed, but deep down you know, because when someone wants to talk to you, they don't forget. They don't ignore you for days and come back with the same dull tone. They don't treat your presence like a chore. It's not about expecting her to reply instantly. It's about feeling the intent behind her messages. There's a huge difference between someone who gets back to you late, but with warmth and excitement, versus someone who responds just enough to not seem rude, but clearly lacks emotional presence. You'll feel that emotional absence like a weight in your chest. Every message you send feels risky, every silence feels like rejection, and every dry response chips away at your confidence. That is not how communication should feel when there's mutual interest. When a woman is into you, her messages won't just be words, they'll carry energy. She'll use emojis, voice notes, little jokes. She'll bring personality into the interaction. Even when she's tired or busy, she'll find a moment to show you she cares. She'll reply in a way that makes you feel seen, not ignored. That kind of communication doesn't leave you confused. It reassures you. But when she's not into you, you'll constantly find yourself doubting, wondering if you're saying the wrong thing, wondering if you're being too needy. But the truth is, it's not about you doing something wrong. It's that she's not emotionally invested in the first place. It becomes even more obvious when you stop messaging first. Try it, and you'll see the truth unfold quickly. If she doesn't notice, doesn't reach out, doesn't ask why you've gone quiet, that's your sign. You were never truly in the picture. A woman who cares will wonder where you are. A woman who doesn't will simply move on with her day, unbothered, unaffected, indifferent. You have to pay attention to the tone, the timing, and the effort in her communication. Is she meeting you halfway, or are you constantly trying to keep the conversation alive by yourself? Is there warmth, or is there cold obligation? Is there excitement in her voice or messages, or are you just another notification she's swiping away? These things matter. They tell you everything you need to know about how she truly feels, no matter what her words might say on the surface. Because when a woman is genuinely interested, her communication becomes a bridge. When she's not, it becomes a wall. Physical closeness is one of the most instinctive ways human beings express interest, attraction, and comfort. When a woman is genuinely into you, her body language will reflect it long before her words do. She will lean in when you speak, maintain steady eye contact, find subtle ways to be close, may be touching your arm during conversation, brushing past you slightly, or positioning herself near by, even in a group setting. These little moments are not accidental. They are cues, unconscious signs that she's drawn to you and feels safe in your presence. But when she's not interested, her body does the complete opposite, and it does so without her needing to say a single word. One of the clearest signs is how she manages proximity. If you sit next to her and she subtly shifts away, or if she consistently places physical objects between the two of you like a purse, a phone, or a drink. Those are not random behaviors. They're protective gestures, subconscious boundaries that say, I don't want to invite closeness. You'll notice that she never initiates physical contact, and may even flinch slightly or seem uncomfortable if you do. If you give her a friendly hug, it's brief and awkward. There's no leaning in, no resting her hand on your back, no moment of lingering connection. Her body stiffens, her arms stay at her sides. It's the kind of hug people give out of politeness, not emotion. And it's not just about touch. Look at the way she positions her body during conversations. Is she facing you fully or turned slightly away? Are her arms open and relaxed or crossed tightly across her chest? These are nonverbal cues that reflect her level of openness or defensiveness. If she's sitting far away when there's room closer to you, or constantly adjusting herself to put distance between you two, she's sending a silent but powerful message. She doesn't feel that magnetic pull toward you. She's not trying to create intimacy. She's managing her space carefully to maintain emotional and physical boundaries. Eye contact is another revealing element. When a woman is interested, she holds your gaze just a little longer than normal. There's a softness, a spark, a sense of shared energy that flows back and forth. But when she's not into you, her eyes will dart around the room, land on her phone, or lock onto anything but yours. The absence of eye contact tells you she's not emotionally tuned into you. And if she does look at you, it often feels blank. No real connection behind it, no emotional depth. You're talking, but she's already somewhere else mentally. You might also notice that she's quick to pull away if your hands accidentally touch or your shoulders brush. What could have been a moment of shared tension or subtle flirtation becomes instead a moment of awkward withdrawal. She might laugh it off or ignore it completely, but that reaction speaks volumes. Women who are into you don't shrink away from these small touches. They welcome them, sometimes even create them. If she's removing herself from those moments, she's removing herself from the possibility of deeper connection. Even in group settings, body language tells a clear story. Is she choosing to sit next to you, turn her body toward you, mirror your movements? Or is she always drifting away, staying on the other side of the room, engaging more with others than she ever does with you? The way she physically orients herself in public is often a mirror of how she feels inside. If she's interested, she'll gravitate toward you. If not, she'll subtly distance herself without confrontation, hoping you'll take the hint. What's important to understand is that these signs are rarely deliberate. She's not always consciously trying to avoid you or send a message. It's just how human psychology works. Our bodies reveal what we feel long before our words catch up. When a woman doesn't feel attraction, she instinctively keeps her distance. She doesn't crave physical nearness, and she certainly doesn't seek excuses to be close. You'll sense this in the way she sits, stands, walks, and interacts. You won't feel warmth, softness, or invitation. You'll feel space, tension, and an invisible wall between you. And the worst part is that many men ignore this because they hope to change her mind. They convince themselves that if they just say the right things, be more charming, more kind, more available, she'll warm up. But attraction isn't something you can negotiate or talk someone into. It either exists or it doesn't. And if her body language is constantly pulling away from you, No amount of patience or effort will force it to pull closer. Initiation is one of the clearest indicators of genuine interest, yet it's one of the most overlooked signs by men who are emotionally invested. When a woman is genuinely into you, she doesn't just respond, she initiates. She doesn't wait for you to reach out every time. She texts you first, asks how your day is going, sends you things that reminded her of you. She becomes an active participant in the connection rather than a passive observer. But when she's not interested, there's a noticeable absence of initiation. You'll begin to feel like you're always the one reaching out, always the one making plans, always the one keeping the interaction alive, while she just floats along with minimal effort. It starts subtly. Maybe you notice that she never texts first. You excuse it at first. Maybe she's shy, maybe she's busy, maybe she doesn't want to come on too strong. But time passes, and still the pattern remains the same. Days go by without a word from her unless you initiate, and even when you do, the conversations are short, directionless, and lacking in energy. She replies yes, but only enough to be polite. She doesn't ask you questions, she doesn't continue the thread, and she certainly doesn't show curiosity about you as a person. You're constantly feeding energy into a dynamic that gives very little back. When a woman is genuinely interested, her behavior reflects enthusiasm. She doesn't just wait around to be entertained, she contributes. She'll suggest meeting up, propose ideas for things to do together, or simply say, "I was thinking about you." That's how you know someone is mentally and emotionally engaged. But if she never proposes a time to hang out, never initiates a call, never says let's catch up, what she's really communicating, whether consciously or not, is that she's not invested in creating something meaningful with you. This lack of initiation often gets disguised under modern dating behavior. Maybe she claims she's just letting things flow, or not trying to force anything. But real connection never feels forced when two people are genuinely drawn to each other. A woman who's into you will be excited to build something, even if it's just a casual friendship at first. She won't be indifferent. She won't go completely silent if you stop making an effort. That's silence. That's a reflection of what's going on inside, an absence of desire, an absence of emotional priority. Men often fall into the trap of thinking they just need to be more patient, more persistent, or more impressive to finally get her to show interest. So they double down on the effort, sending more messages, making more plans, giving more compliments, only to find that the more they give, the less they get. This isn't because they're doing anything wrong. It's because interest isn't being reciprocated. And in any relation, shipromantic or otherwise, reciprocity is essential. When one person is doing all the initiating, it creates a dynamic where one side is chasing while the other is tolerating. That's not attraction, that's emotional imbalance. Think about the last time she reached out to you without any prompting. Was it genuine or was it reactive? Be replying after you didn't text for a few days. Did she show any excitement about reconnecting, or did it feel like she was just checking a box? These patterns tell you everything you need to know. Real interest doesn't disappear when you stop chasing. It steps forward. It fills the silence. It shows up. If she vanishes the moment you stop making the first move, then you were never really in her thoughts to begin with. Women who are interested don't fear being the first to call or message. They don't hide behind pride or ego, because connection matters more to them than maintaining the illusion of power or control. They make an effort not because they're desperate, but because they value your presence. When that effort is missing entirely, it's not a mystery, it's a message. She's not wondering what you're doing. She's not imagining moments with you. She's not emotionally compelled to draw closer. You're not in her mind the way she might be in yours. And this realization, while painful, is freeing. Because once you stop chasing someone who never initiates, you open space for people who will. You stop draining yourself trying to spark interest where there is none. You begin to recognize the difference between someone who's just responding and someone who's actually reaching out. And that distinction is where your self-respect lies. When a woman is not interested in you, one of the most obvious yet painful signs is her consistent lack of effort. At first, you might not even recognize it because you're too busy making up for the gap, doing more, trying harder, initiating everything, keeping the spark alive. But over time, the imbalance becomes undeniable. It feels like you're the engine of the entire connection, while she's just a passenger, occasionally looking out the window, never once grabbing the wheel. And that right there is the reality. A woman who doesn't see value in building something with you will not contribute to its growth. She will not invest her time, energy, or attention beyond the bare minimum because in her mind, you are not a priority. You're just a placeholder. Effort in any relationship isn't always grand gestures. It's the small, consistent actions that show someone is thinking of you, valuing your time, and choosing to show up. When a woman is into you, she doesn't just respond to plans, she makes them. She remembers your preferences, follows up on your conversations, checks in just to see how you're doing. But when she's not interested, all of that disappears. She doesn't initiate hangouts. She doesn't offer to help you with anything. She doesn't show excitement when you make plans. In fact, she often cancels or reschedules at the last minute, and when she does show up, it doesn't feel like she's really there. Her mind is elsewhere, her engagement is low, and her energy is flat. It's not about being busy. Everyone's busy. It's about priority. The harsh truth is, people make time for what they care about. They go out of their way for what matters. So when a woman keeps telling you she's too tired, too overwhelmed, or not in the mood to talk, text, or see you, especially if that's the recurring pattern, it's not a matter of circumstance. It's a matter of where you stand in her life. You're not in her top 5. You may not even be on her radar. She's not thinking about how to deepen the bond between you because she doesn't feel a compelling reason to. You're not occupying that emotional space in her mind. You'll also notice the lack of emotional reciprocity. When you do something thoughtful, send her a sweet message, give her a compliment, remember something important to her, it barely registers. She might say thanks or give a dry response, but there's no warmth behind it. She doesn't mirror the energy. She doesn't return the favor. She accepts what you give but rarely gives anything back, and over time this drains you. You start to feel like you're performing for someone who doesn't even applaud. You're investing in someone who doesn't seem to care whether you show up or not. Even the way she communicates will reflect this lack of effort. Her messages are short, delayed, or dismissive. She might take hours or even days to respond to something you sent with real interest or vulnerability. And when she finally does reply, it's often with dry, emotionless phrases that make it clear she's just checking a box. You feel like a chore on her to-do list, not someone she's excited to connect with. There's no flow, no eagerness, no genuine curiosity. The energy is always one-sided, and it feels like you're dragging the conversation uphill while she barely moves her feet. You might also find yourself making excuses for her behavior. You tell yourself she's just going through something, or that she's shy, or that she's not used to receiving attention. And while some of that may be true in rare cases, the reality is usually simpler. She just doesn't care enough to try. Because when someone is genuinely interested, effort isn't forced, it's automatic. It's not about being perfect or constantly available, but about being emotionally present, consistently showing that you matter, that your presence brings value to their life. Without that effort, all you're left with is potential, and potential doesn't keep a connection alive. What makes this even more frustrating is that she might still enjoy parts of your presence. Maybe she likes the attention, the validation, the way you make her feel admired. But she's not putting anything into the relationship that keeps it growing. She's benefiting from your energy while giving almost nothing in return. It's a lopsided dynamic where you're pouring water into a glass that has a hole in the bottom. No matter how much you give, it never fills up. And deep down you know it. You feel the emptiness after every interaction. You feel the disappointment after every ignored message or half-hearted reply. When a woman truly values you, her effort matches yours. She doesn't have to be perfect or dramatic about it, but you'll feel it. You'll feel her presence, her investment, her willingness to nurture the connection, even in small ways. But when she's not interested, effort is the first thing to vanish. She won't fight to keep your attention, won't worry about your absence, and won't even notice the moments when you pull back, because in her mind nothing has really been lost. There's no urgency to fix, no regret in the silence, no desire to try harder next time. So, if you've been pouring your energy into someone who doesn't reciprocate, who never initiates, never opens up, and consistently shows a lack of genuine effort, understand that her actions are telling you everything you need to know. You don't need clearer signs. You need clarity within yourself. Stop waiting for her to suddenly change, to wake up and see your worth. That moment isn't coming. The most powerful decision you can make as a man is to stop chasing someone who isn't meeting you halfway and start investing in the one person who truly deserves your effort, yourself. Walk away with your dignity intact, because your time, your love, and your energy are far too valuable to waste on someone who was never truly interested in the first place.